What makes a college the right fit for you?
For me, it's Classrooms Without Walls.
A chance to have an impact on their lives.
Nationally recognized degree program.
Key now, we're not shooting the ball well. Bradley's forced in some tough shots. Then back-to-back turnovers doesn't fare very well for the Sycamores.
Well, we understand we had some audio technical difficulties audio-wise. We believe we've got it straightened out as Tyson Schnitger draws the foul. The Sycamores started the game, as I'm sure you folks saw that are watching at home, on a 4-0 run. The Braves have answered with 9 straight, and now the freshman Tyson Schnitger from Robinson, Illinois, is going to go to the free throw line for Royce Waltman's club.
Coach Jim Les, a little insert about that call. Thought Robinson got over there and got himself set.
Might have had a point.
Those are the kind of calls you think you're going to get at home.
Although we are certainly not complaining. Tyson knocks it down. What a freshman season this guy has had. They knew he was good, but even Royce Waltman contends they didn't know how good he was. I mean, when he signed at ISU, certainly the Sycamores were happy to have this guy on board, but wow, what a pleasant surprise his great play has been.
Plays with so much poise, plays with so much toughness. You don't see that in the freshman very much. We had it number 5 a few years ago. Guys, people remember that guard running around for quite a few years. This one reminds us a lot of him. A little different in some ways, but similar in a lot of ways as well.
You know, you hear people comparing Tyson and Michael Menser, and the Michael that we all think about is the Michael of the last couple of years, but boy, you think back 4 years of contributing for Michael. 97-98 was Michael's freshman season, so that's going way back. But certainly Tyson has drawn comparisons, and that's a good thing to be compared to Michael Menser.
Without question, a great thing.
This is Eric Gray in the game for the first time, launching one off the mark. Gray has played very well of late, done a great job scoring for Royce Waltman's team, especially during the 2-game win streak with 14 and 10 respectively, and he's a guy, although he didn't show it on that shot, that can put the ball in the basket.
I think Coach Waltman's probably a little frustrated there. You know, you get a guy to come off the bench, you want him to get up and down the court and get his sneakers a little warmed up before he's going to get a shot off. getting back to that comparison with Tyson Schnichter and Michael Menzer, you hope Tyson Schnichter has half the career Michael Menzer have, and we're all going to be very excited.
Here's Gray, guarded by the taller Twy. Boy, Gray is quick. When he gets by you, he's gone.
And fast.
Cottrell Green trying to create offensively, trying to get it to Ted Morris, who's in the game for the first time for Indiana State. In case you just joined us, Jared Adler got the start tonight, picked up 2 quick fouls, so he right now is on the Sycamore bench as Jim Les looks on. His team with a 4.95 lead in the beginning of a crucial 4-game stretch for the Bradley Braves. I mentioned it earlier, they host the Creighton Blue Jays Monday night. The Jays undefeated on the season so far, so a very important stretch for Bradley, especially so considering that they are without their best offensive player as David Moss gets the steal.
Bradley was picked to win this league by certain people in certain polls, so they've got a lot to prove, and to get off to a good start in the league here is important for them.
We're going to take a timeout. The Sycamores turn it over on the fast break. ISU trailing Bradley by 4 from Peoria.
Tyson Schnichter, and he doesn't even know he's supposed to be nervous playing his first league game on the road in his career.
This has certainly been a tough building for a lot of teams. The Sycamores won here. I believe it was Royce Waltman's first year here. Got a good win over a pretty good Bradley team that year, and it's been tough going ever since. Even in the championship years, this has been a tough place. It's a tough building with a lot of fans, but certainly the fact that Bradley's had some good teams has not made it any easier on the opposing teams. This is Gillingham. The shot clock is at 5, working against Eric Gray. Paul for 3. Moss the rebound.
Sycamore's done a better job here the last few trips defensively. They got a little more ball pressure and perimeter pressure, which has forced Bradley out a couple steps and got them out of a little bit of their rhythm.
Here's the steal. Jabbar Battle lays it up and in. Battle was the Braves' top player off the bench a year ago, but has kind of been in some trouble off the court this year with the coach and playing just his 2nd game of the season, but making an immediate impact upon his arrival into the game tonight. Ted Morris, strong move, count it, and he got fouled.
Terrific drop-step move. Great composure, great balance with his feet, get turned at 6'10". That's awfully difficult to guard.
As Royce Waltman and Dick Bender look on, boy, Ted Morris, that was an impressive move, and it's certainly Ted's got to be happy he's on the court when the 7-footer Brandon Heemskirk is not on the court. Although Jabbar Battle, the guy he just scored against, is certainly no beanpole. He's a strong guy, number 50 in white for Bradley. And the Sycamores here will get an extra possession as it's knocked out of bounds off Bradley.
But I'll tell you what, Jason, having a guy like Morris to come in and score from the inside is going to be very helpful. Bradley does a great job on the perimeter. They're not going to get a lot of looks and not open shots, especially from the 3. So being able to get some things done in the paint is going to be important for him.
Here's Battle again, top of the key over Morris. Big, strong rebound for Eric Gray, who's kind of getting it done on defense with a good defensive stand against Gillingham, and now with the rebound. We certainly know he's at his best on the offensive end. Moss looking to get untracked as well offensively. Gray trying to get around Twy. This is Sams to Schnittker, long 3 on the way. Morris trying to corral the rebound, but Twy has it. Paul on the baseline, count it, off the glass and in. Joey Paul, the sophomore.
Great push by Twy, big time find for Paul in the corner, nice baseline take and powdered in.
The lead is back to 6 for Bradley.
We talked about inside presence. Bradley's just not going to let Indiana State have a whole lot of looks from the perimeter. They're going to have to create some things off the dribble. They're going to have to get the ball inside with some post speeds to loosen this defense up a little bit.
Jared Adler checks back into the game. He replaces Jake Sams. Adler comes into the game with 2 fouls, and I know a lot of times Royce Waltman, when a player picks up 2 fouls early the way Adler did, likes to keep him on the bench until the second half, but obviously at this point he wants him back out there.
They need Adler's energy and defensive presence, especially on the boards.
Russell Trudeau into the game for the first time for Indiana State, number 20 in blue. He's another guy that can shoot it from behind the line. Moss takes a breather for the first time, so it'll be interesting to see the Sycamores offensively with David getting a breather.
Okay, Market Howard needs to get on track as well. They've bottled him up here in the first half, and he needs to get some things done here and be aggressive on that offensive end.
Great look by Marcus Howard. Boy, he thread the needle on that pass to Ted Morris underneath, and Morris will go to the free throw line.
Great look, great pass, and a better catch by Ted Morris. Difficult catch on that pass. Got himself under control and took it up strong.
Ted Morris had 5 points, getting the start in the New Year's Eve win over Evansville at the Holman Center. And it certainly has not taken long for Ted to make an impact tonight. If he can really continue to come on the way he did his freshman year, how much would that mean to this team?
The big fella's getting it done here early, and again, having that presence inside where he can give some scoring, get some rebounds, and affect some things defensively with his size is going to help them.
Marcello Robinson, nice spin move off the glass and in. Robinson's first basket.
Awfully quick, especially off the dribble. Awfully quick.
Ted working hard for the ball down low, although it's knocked away and stolen by Mike Suggs. Bradley has the ball and a 7-point lead over the Sycamores.
Turnovers are starting to mount for the Sycamores, starting to cause a little bit of a problem for them here.
Corner three on the way for Suggs and off the mark. ISU trying to hang in early. Difficult place to play. The Sycamores have struggled shooting the ball tonight as Marcus launches a three, and that'll fix that. Marcus for three, ISU within 4.
We talked about Marcus Howard being aggressive and starting to take a look for some things that were open. Again, great shot, great look. Needs to step up and knock some more shots on again and loosen that defensive pressure up.
Robinson over Schnitker. Boy, he's not a scorer. He can score. He's proven he can score, but he averages just 7 a game, but certainly looked like a jump shot artist on that one.
But you got to remember, Philip Gilbert sitting on the bench along with those 20-plus points a game, so they've got to find some scoring someplace. They need guys like Robinson to step up and make some plays like he just did. Big-time crossover and pull up there. Nice finish on the jumper.
Away from the ball, Ted Morris called for the foul, trying to get the good position down low, I should say, and we're going to take a timeout. Bradley lead. Biggest lead of the night for Bradley.
You know, we talked about Bradley started out 1 for 5. Since that time, they're 6 for 11 from the field.
Marcus Howard going for back-to-back threes off the mark. Under 7 left in the first half. Into the lane. The kick to Somerville for his third three-pointer off the mark, and Ted Morris called for his second.
You like to see Morris being aggressive under the boards. Keeping those hands to yourself sometimes becomes a problem.
Ted and Russell Trudeau take a break. Amani Donish, who's got 4, and David Moss are back into the game for Indiana State. I don't remember the last time David was still looking for his first points with under 7 minutes left.
You talked about that during the open as well. You know, David Moss comes in these games as a marked man. He's the only Sycamore averaging in double figures. Other teams look at those stats and say, we stop David Moss or shut him down, we cause Indiana State lots of problems.
Howard, the rebound on the defensive end for the Sycamores. This is Wilford Antoine into the game for Indiana State in blue, number 13. As the Sycamores try and chip into the Bradley lead. Amani Donish, good position down low. Almost threw it away. Howard the save.
You talk about Bradley's man-to-man defense. They do a great job with ball pressure and getting you out. They keep you uncomfortable by forcing you way out from the basket. They don't give you a lot of open looks, don't give you a lot of free shots. You got to work for everything.
That possession offensively for the Sycamores was a perfect example of that. Bradley playing excellent defense, challenging the passes, and certainly a tough shot the Sycamores ended up with.
Bradley still wants to get this thing playing a lot faster. Sycamores have done a good job controlling tempo here on the offensive end, throwing a lot of passes, staying patient. Bradley still like to get this thing into a track meet.
Armani has caused Bradley some problems in the post with his good play. Mike Suggs picks up the foul for Bradley. The 6th team foul against Bradley here in the first half. The Sycamores will return home Wednesday night to play host to the Southern Illinois Salukis. They lost Kent Williams, they lost Jermaine Dearman, they lost their coach to Illinois, but boy, they just keep winning.
And they're 8-1.
Maybe we didn't need Bruce, Kent, and Jermaine.
I'd say arguably they've probably got the second best perimeter guard tandem in the league behind Bradley.
And so now foul trouble starting to hamper the Sycamores. David Moss with his second. Ted Morris has 2. Jared Adler has 2. 7th team foul against the Sycamores. And with 5:15 left in the first half, David from here on out has to be very careful. Does not want to pick up the 3rd in the first half.
Especially against that defensive pressure. They're not going to allow him to have anything easy. You want to get yourself out of control on drill penetration and get a charge.
Twy tried to get it to Jason Faulkner underneath, knocked away, but the Braves will retain possession. At halftime, we'll look back at last night's win by the ISU women, a convincing win, a dominating second half performance by Jim Wheaty's team over Bradley. That's at halftime. This is Gillingham on the baseline, tried to draw the foul. Great defense by Amani Donish.
Gillingham looking for a foul, wondering why he didn't get something.
Says, I'm a senior, this is my house.
Should get a call here at home.
Somerville into the lane, tried to get it to Robinson, but Moss the steal. Bird to Adler, long jumper on the way. Jared Adler knocks it down. Give Bird the assist, and the Sycamores are within 6. Until Jared Adler picks up a tough foul. Royce not happy with that call. Definitely could have been called a charge. They went with the block. And perhaps the call he didn't get the last time down that we talked about, Gillingham does get this time. Tough play for a number of different reasons for the Sycamores. They had cut the lead to 6, and now Gillingham's 3-point play makes it a 9-point Bradley lead, and Jared Adler picks up his 3rd personal foul.
And maybe that last stat, probably the most important. Indiana State's thin inside anyways, and now you've got one of your starters that gives you energy and gives you defensive rebounding with his 3rd foul.
Moss on the baseline, he's on the board. David Moss, his first basket. That's a good sign for the Sycamores, who are within 7. Athletic looking play by Somerville, who tried to catch it and shoot it without hitting the ground, but he's not able to do it. And Russell Trudeau checks back in for Royce Waltman's team as Jim Les looks on. His team leading by 7 as we near the 4-minute mark of the first half.
But that's the way Bradley wants to play. They push the ball, they gamble, they take chances like that. Coach Les's theory, we do that better than you do. We're going to be successful most of the time. We're willing to give up a turnover here and there if we can do some things. But again, you look at where Bradley is, Indiana State operating an offense, they're 3-4 steps behind the 3. A defensive pressure's got them pushed way out. Difficult to run your offense when you're that far away.
Trudeau, tough shot. Nice hustle by Russ, knocks it to Marcus, and the Sycamores have another offensive possession. Trudeau for 3. Amani Donish crashing the boards, counted. He has given this team energy tonight. He's got 6, and the Sycamores are within 5.
The one bright spot, big-time offensive rebound, hustling from way up there at the top of the key.
And Deron Evans with a steal on defense. This is Bird. Offensive foul against Marcus Howard. We're going to take a timeout with 3:05 left in the first half. The Sycamores are down 5 as we have now reached the 3-minute mark of the first half. They are in serious foul trouble. Adler 3, Moss 2, Ted Morris 2. So if they can hang in and get to the locker room, that would certainly be a good thing for Royce Waltman's team. Marcello almost launched a 3. This is Suggs to Gillingham. Away from the ball, Marcellus Somerville called for the foul. That's 7th against Bradley.
Got Somerville pushing that arm away, trying to create some space in that low block. Amani Donis done a nice job on him.
You can tell the Sycamores definitely trying to unleash Russell Trudeau offensively. He's one of those guys that can knock it down from behind the line. Eric Gray into the game. He's another one that can shoot it. They've got 2 shooters on the floor right now as David Moss continues to nurse the 2 fouls on the bench.
We talked about it before the game. Indiana State comes into the game leading the league in 3-point field goal percentage. Bradley, on the other hand, playing that tough defense, isn't going to let them get shots off. Indiana State currently 1 for 8 from 3 in the first half. That defensive pressure is causing them major problems.
A year ago, Jim Less's team really struggled in games that were decided by 6 points or less, the close games. This year, one of the reasons they're off to a 7-4 start, they've just done such a tremendous job of winning close games.
You mentioned that stat. 11 of 12 games last year they lost when they were decided by 6 or less points. This year, they're 4-2 in those games.
What a smart play. We're seeing why the experience is paying off as Amani Donish commits the foul against Gillingham. Looks like Donish took an elbow to the face from the shooter, who was James Gillingham, and it is certainly nothing new as we take a peek at Amani. Looks like he's okay. But Gillingham is going to go to the free throw line, number 13 for the Bradley Braves. Nothing new to see him at the free throw line. He's 6th in the nation when it comes to free throws made. He's 7th in the nation when it comes to free throws attempted. And now Gillingham is going to get 3 free throws as he was shooting a tray.
78% free throw shooter. Good players get to the line. Good players figure out ways to get to the line. There's a reason why he gets to the line so much. Easy to score 17, 18 points a game when you get to the line 6, 8 times a game.
Gillingham, a senior, been in the program, played a very important role in this program for all 4 of his seasons, was recruited by Jim Molinari from out of Ontario. Came to Bradley along with fellow senior Jason Faulkner, who's also from Ontario, so kind of a bizarre Ontario to Peoria connection working for the Braves, and they are glad it's a pretty good pipeline.
That's a package 2-for-1 deal out of Ontario, Canada. Two passports for one kind of deal.
2 for 3 from the line for Gillingham, and the lead is 7 with under 2 to go in the first half. Gray able to beat the pressure by Paul.
But again, you look at that defensive pressure, they just kept Indiana State so far out of balance. They haven't had any type of comfort zone. They're pushed way back. It's difficult for them to run and execute an offense.
What's amazing about that, too, is that the guy that Jim Less replaced, as Cottrell Green gets it to go, the guy Jim Less replaced, Jim Molinari, was such a defensive guru, and still under Jim Less, it seems like the Braves have been able to maintain that stellar defense.
Jim Less played in the NBA for 7 years, and he understands that whole concept. You guard people, you got a chance to win every game.
Marcello Robinson with 7 tonight. He's already at his season average, and the lead is back up to 8. That's a big shot. Gray thought about a 3. This is Bird. Under a minute to go. Trudeau along the baseline, stepped out of bounds. turns it over with 46 left in the first half, so about an 11-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. But certainly if the Sycamores could get to halftime,
it's a event. Even as they're trying to wind the clock down, it's going to be difficult for them to get to a position where they can actually get a legitimate shot attempt off.
Gray for three, off the mark, and that is going to be the end of half number one. Eric Gray, tough shot, off the mark, and so the Sycamores will trail 27-19 as we go to the halftime locker room, or they do, I should say. Deron Evans and company down 8, surviving serious foul trouble in the first half. The halftime show is next. Bradley leading 27-19. He gets to breathe and take a break for 5-6 minutes and a half. What's been, in your opinion, the most impressive thing for Tyson so far, the way he's handled this?
Well, the way he's been able to handle the pressure when he's handling the ball, and then his shooting. I didn't expect him to shoot that well from threes this early in his college career.
Oh, 66% from three. You weren't expecting that?
No.
That's a little unusual.
Yeah. Well, I know, Chris, you've certainly watched and coached a lot of college basketball. You've been very impressed with Tyson so far.
So you got to be having a lot of fun with this. You know, you get a chance to see him play in high school, and now he's going to sign Indiana State an hour away, per se. You get a chance to see him play. What does he say to you now coming home saying, Dad, I'm playing and I'm starting and I'm having some fun?
Yeah, he just has a real blast. He likes all the guys on the team. He likes the coaches. Coach Ray, of course, recruited him, and he just loves Coach Ray, and he's just enjoying the whole atmosphere.
Well, we're looking forward to three and a half more great years with Tyson Schnitker. Kevin Schnitker, Tyson's father, appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll have a good second half.
Thank you for having us on.
Okay, you got it. The halftime show continues after another quick timeout with the Sycamores trailing Bradley 27-19. Let's go ahead and show you the keys to victory for Indiana State before the game. This is some of what we talked about, staying composed in a very difficult Carver Arena, a balanced scoring attack, and they wanted to control Somerville, Marcellus Somerville on the inside. They've done it on the inside, although Somerville has knocked down 2 3-pointers. Keys to victory for Bradley coming in. One of the things they really talked about was containing David Moss. Well, they've done that in the first half. Moss held to just 2 points. Controlling the glass, it's not fair to say they've done that as the Sycamores hold a 1-rebound edge, 15-14. And immediately the Sycamores get a defensive stop. Amani Donish, David Moss, Jared Adler, Tyson Schnitker, and Marcus Howard. The starting 5 for Indiana State, same starting 5 for Jim Less and the Bradley Braves as well. Somerville, Gillingham, Robinson, Twy, and the 7-footer, Heemskirk.
Say, Amani Donish has done yeoman's work inside against Somerville. Has really kept him under control. And then on the offensive end, being strong and taking it right at him.
Nice position early for Amani Donish, who draws the foul on Heemskirk. So Donish will go to the free throw line. Had 13 points in the Sycamores win over Evansville on New Year's Eve. Following that up with another solid effort tonight, although the Sycamores have struggled a little bit from the free throw line tonight.
You mentioned this several times here during the late part of the first half and during the halftime show. You know, several ways to loosen up this Bradley defense is number 1, dribble penetration, and number 2, it's throwing that thing down there in the post. They had some success getting it to Amani Donish and Ted Morris, Cottrell Green in the first half on the block. Because that defensive pressure is so strong, it's going to open up that inside, get that ball down in there, and make some things happen.
Marcello Robinson can't get it to go. Adler, who's playing with 3 fouls with a strong rebound for Indiana State. Gillingham is the one that's been doing, for the most part, the solid job defensively against David Moss, a prolific scorer. Moss averaging 18 a game, held to 2 in the first half. Moss into the lane, over Gillingham, off the mark. Somerville, the rebound. You just have to be in awe of the way the Bradley Braves play defense. Everything is hard.
And that tells the tale from the way Jim Less played in college. He was a tough, hard-nosed, gritty player and did it the old-fashioned way, and his teams reflect that. We're going to get after you on the defense end. We're going to pressure. We're going to make you beat us. But you're going to have to do it playing against this pressure.
This is Twy over Moss. awkward angle, tried to bank it home. We're still looking for our first points of the second half. Howard, Donish, assist or air ball, whichever, it worked, and ISU is within 6.
Bradley does a great job getting that ball out of the glass and getting it down the court. Great presence by Robinson, pushing that basketball, trying to make some things happen. Again, Bradley wants to play fast. They'd like to score 80, 90 points if they can.
Well, certainly the Braves, we talked about this earlier in the game, Chris. They are undefeated when they hold opponents to 70 or less points. The Sycamores with 21 right now, certainly not headed down the road of scoring over 70, but yet they're down just 6. As Heemskerk kind of just turns and fires it up there. The Braves are struggling offensively in the first 2+ minutes of half number 2. Moss on the baseline draws the foul.
Being aggressive, dribble penetration by David Moss, a way to loosen up that pressure.
Certainly at some point you would think Moss would kind of get untracked a little bit offensively. So ISU hanging in there, had serious foul trouble in the first half. Adler on the baseline, intercepted by Twy.
Turnovers, 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 giving Coach Waltman more gray hair.
Somerville gets loose underneath, and they're lucky Adler didn't pick up number 4.
So smooth, so strong, so athletic. Just a sophomore. That's scary.
Well, Dick Vitale called Somerville one of the top 5 junior college players in the country not too long ago, and he ends up at Bradley. We know Dick Vitale knows everything.
Without question, Dick Vitale knows everything. And I'm sure Dick Vitale probably saw him play in junior college last year as well.
Well, if you've seen him play at all, you're not going to argue with the fact that he is a top-notch performer, averaging 8 rebounds, 17 points a game. Talking about number 15 in white for Bradley, who leads the way with 8 points so far for the Braves. He's got the ball now for three-pointer number 3, around and out.
He's a handful to guard because he can shoot that perimeter shot, especially from the 3. Bradley doesn't give you anything easy. They don't let you get comfortable on the offensive end. They make things difficult. Everything's a battle trying to get to the glass and score.
And boy, you could see David Moss once the change or the switch happened defensively, and once he didn't see that James Gillingham was on him, he smelled blood, went right to the hole against Twy, and he draws the foul. Moss does. Has already been the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Week once. Had 30 in the win over Tennessee Martin. And their woes continue from the free throw line. They're down 8 right now, but they've left several points off the board.
David Moss is one of those kind of players that's capable of getting it in bunches. He can get it going and get untracked. He can shoot it if he gets some shot looks, and he can take you off dribble and score here at the free throw line.
1 for 2 for David, and it's 29-22, Bradley by 7.
You know, if you're Coach Waltman, you got to feel good about the scenario here. You're only down 7 on the road against a team that wants to play in the 80s, the 90s. Done a good job controlling tempo thus far. Can you hold them off and continue to try to find ways to score?
Paul for 3. Marcus with a strong rebound, knocked away by Somerville, who was out of bounds, and the Sycamores will get possession. Marcus skying to bring that one down. Jabbar Battle, number 50, checking into the game. Check this one out as Somerville slides out of bounds. But Jabbar Battle, number 50 in white, he's an interesting guy. I mean, physically very imposing, strong guy. Yet because of the off-the-court stuff, has not played in that many of the games this year.
He's just slowly crawling his way out of Coach Less's doghouse here the last few weeks.
Deron Evans into the lane, athletic move, and it goes.
Again, the difference the last several possessions, they're taking it right at Bradley off the dribble. Now Bradley's having some problems dealing with that.
Gillingham inside the battle. Personal foul called against David Moss. away from the ball. He was helping out. And we're going to take a timeout. Royce Waltman looking on. The Sycamore. There he is, Philip Gilbert, the Missouri Valley's career active leading scorer. Out 4 weeks. Told us before the game they're lucky they caught the stress fracture at the very beginning. Otherwise, he'd have been out 8 to 10 weeks. He's going to miss 4 weeks. And Chris, certainly, I know, Marcellus Somerville, 17 points a game. James Gillingham, 15 points a game. But the Braves have not looked like the team they can be with Gilbert in there.
When you lose your best player, you lose a lot, especially the conference's leading scorer. He does so many things for them besides just scoring. He's a senior, he's a leader. All those things are important. Difficult to recover when you lose that kind of guy.
Moss had his pass intercepted. This is Marcello Robinson to Somerville, who missed the layup/dunk. Consider that a bullet dodged for ISU.
I'm kind of wondering if Somerville thought that Robinson was going to shoot that thing.
Traveling against Indiana State, so the Braves are struggling offensively, clearly, in the second half. ISU trying to hang in there. Hopefully at some point they will be able to take advantage of Bradley's struggles offensively.
But they can't continue to let the turnovers mount, because that still causes major problems for you with turnovers.
Battle to Somerville, lost it. ISU with a chance to cut into Bradley's 5-point lead. Nice look by Marcus, but Evans couldn't convert. Marcello Robinson, Somerville for 3. And just like that, the lead is back to 8. The Braves had turned it over. They had missed dunks. Unfortunately, ISU not able to take advantage.
Got to be able to capitalize when you have the opportunity. Evans misses that easy crip underneath.
Smooth looking stroke for David, who's got 5. And the lead is 6. One of the things Moss said after that Evansville game was he said, we have guys this year that are tough enough to go to Carver Arena and challenge Bradley, as Jared Adler gets the rejection, and so far they've done it. It's not been a tremendous performance by the Sycamores, but I'd have to say that David was right in that his guys are tough enough to handle this environment tonight.
You know, anytime you can go in this league on the road and compete night in and night out, you've made progress in your program. Last year, they struggled on the road. This year, they can compete on the road, and that's the difference. You put yourself in position to win some games, and you never know what can happen.
They certainly had a very big win at Eastern Illinois, followed that up with a narrow loss on the road to Valpo, as Marcus Howard takes a breather. He's being looked at. Eric Gray into the game for the first time in the second half for Royce Waltman's team. Shot clock under 10 now for Marcello Robinson, working against Tyson Schnitger. Paul, open look for 3. And David saved it to Jared.
Neither team shooting the ball very well. Interesting to see how the last 12 minutes shakes out here. Who's going to be tough enough to make some plays?
Deron Evans called for the foul away from the ball, trying to set a screen for David Moss. And the Braves get it back, leading by 6. The Sycamores return home for 2 after this one, home to Southern Illinois on Wednesday, and home for Illinois State 1 week from tonight. A game you can see right here on News Channel 2. Battle missed it, but the Sycamores lost it out of bounds. Robinson for three. Marcello Robinson, his second three of the night. Not known for his three-point shooting, but he's getting it done tonight. Robinson with 10. Biggest lead of the second half for the Braves as Schnitger ran it down. Gray for three. Deron Evans, a big rebound, horses it back up. Nice work by Evans.
Evans getting it done on the offensive glass. But you'd love to see him finish one of those.
Such a tremendous athlete.
Sometimes, Jason, it's not necessarily how high you jump, but how quick you can get off your feet. Great quick leaper, explosive leaper.
And Evans knocks down the first free throw. Done a nice job rebounding this year, having led the Sycamores in rebounding on two separate occasions during the season. Ted Morris back into the game for Royce Waltman's team. 2 for 2 for Deron. His hustle pays off. That's so far for the second half. It's been ugly for the Braves.
It's been ugly really for both teams. Probably a little more uglier if it's possible to say it the way for Bradley. Right now they're 1 for 7 from the field here in the second half. That gets as ugly as it gets.
For a team picked by many to contend for the conference title.
You got to contribute some of that to Indiana State's half-court defense. They've done a nice job pressuring Bradley and keeping them uncomfortable.
Deron Evans with a surprised look on his face. He thought that he had all ball. But again, that's an unfortunate situation. Suggs went out of control into the lane, lost it, and there to pick it up was Joey Paul. And so that's who will go to the free throw line, the 6'3" sophomore, Joey Paul for the Bradley Braves. He's a sophomore from Highland Park, Illinois. The Braves, we talked about their experience, are obviously going to lose some key players on this year's team to graduation, but boy, Jim Les brought in 5 freshmen, and some of those guys have been playing.
Got some good-looking players coming in. He's got 3 more kids coming in for next year's class. A 7-footer out of Blaine High School up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and a 6'9" kid down from Ozark, Missouri. Stole him out of underneath SMS's backyard.
Is that near New Prague, Minnesota? Home of former ISU standout Brian Geeson.
About 30 minutes north of New Prague, Minnesota is Blaine.
Gray thought about a 3. Evans into the lane. Blocking foul called. The athleticism of Deron Evans paying off for Indiana State right now. He's making it happen.
But we talked about it, taking it off the dribble and attacking the glass, being aggressive. That's a way to break up some of this defensive ball pressure by Bradley and loosen it up a little bit, get some real penetration, get it to the glass, make some things happen.
Evans knocked down 2 straight free throws a moment ago. That went off the mark. Somerville and Gillingham check back into the game. For Jim Les, Marcello Robinson and Jabbar Battle both take a break.
But I tell you what, Jason, you never know what can happen. Indiana State just keeps hanging around. They're keeping this thing within a shot's distance here to make something happen here down the stretch. A free throw, a play, an open 3. You never know what can change here and turn momentum in this game.
Well, the Sycamores are 5 for 13 from the free throw line. They've missed 8 free throws, and they trail by 8 right now. Fading away, Somerville gets it to go. He can hit it from 3, and he can hit them fading away. The lead is 10 for the Braves. Their first double-digit lead of the night.
Somerville's going to cause the Missouri Valley coaches a lot of headaches here before he graduates. He is going to be a good one.
Morris rejected by Somerville. Suggs running the court. It's 40-28. Bradley has stretched the lead.
Just like that, a little quick 4-0 run. And now all of a sudden the game becomes a little bit out of reach.
Moss tried to quiet the crowd with the three off the mark. It's really the first time tonight, Chris, we've heard from the crowd. It's been kind of a subdued crowd by the low-scoring game. Long three-pointer way off the mark. That is not what Jim Les had in mind from Mike Suggs. As Somerville takes a breather, he got hit in the eye, poked in the eye, so he'll take a timeout. Back into the game, though, that's okay. We're going to take out one of the top JUCOs in the country and bring our 7-footer in, Brandon Heemskirk.
Okay, nice when you can bring a 7-footer off the bench.
Cottrell Green and Marcus Howard are back into the game for ISU. David Moss takes a breather. Again tomorrow, 2 p.m., Indiana State women hosting Northern Iowa at the Holman Center. Hopefully there'll be a good crowd on hand. The Sycamores played very well a year ago against Northern Iowa. Hopefully they'll continue that and get another conference win tomorrow, get to 2-0 in league play. Gray for three, Eric Gray. He can stroke it from behind the line.
From deep behind the line, 3 steps behind the line.
Been in double figures in back-to-back games.
Like we talked about, Jason, being able to step up and make a play here as this second half winds down can change the momentum and turn things the right way.
Traveling called against Mike Suggs, and so back-to-back stops here for the Sycamores defensively as they try to get back into the game. They trail by 9 with under 10 left. One thing we said that they would need is balanced scoring, and they have pretty much gotten that. Amani Donish leading the way with 8 points. David Moss, kind of struggling scoring-wise, has already grabbed those 7 rebounds. Bird, Wilfred Antoine to Cottrell Green on the baseline. Great dish to Ted, who threw it down and got fouled.
I'll tell you what, that play started with Bird Antoine's penetration, kicks over to Cottrell Green, dual penetration, nice catch, nice finish, big dunk, Ted Morris.
Ted Morris throwing that one down.
The big fella getting it done here a little bit that he's played.
Want to certainly congratulate the Terre Haute North boys basketball team on their Pizza Hut Wabash Valley Classic Championship last week as they win the title, edging out Ron McBride and the Bloomfield Cardinals 34-31 in the title game. All kinds of high school hoop on tap tonight all across the Wabash Valley. Rick Semler tonight at 11 o'clock on News Channel 2 will recap the night in high school basketball, and that's for both boys and girls. Marcello for 3. Heemskirk the rebound, gives the Braves another possession.
Indiana State a little 6-0 run of itself here to cut this thing to 6.
Suggs off the mark with his pass or shot. Gray for 3. And the Sycamores commit the foul. Whenever you see Eric Gray going up, he has such a smooth-looking shot. He's one of those guys you think every time he launches it, it's going in.
That would have been a big 3. A 9-0 run, cutting it to 3, and all of a sudden things are different in Carver Arena.
But still, you've got to give Royce Waltman and the Sycamores credit. They were down 40-28 just a couple of moments ago. They've answered with a 6-0 run, and they've done it with David Moss, the Sycamores' leading scorer, on the bench, getting a breather. Heemskirk off the mark. Morris the rebound.
Again, the Sycamores just keep hanging around. Never know what can happen here this last 8 minutes if they keep hanging around.
Howard into the lane, out of bounds to Indiana State. So the Sycamores down 6, definitely in the game in a tough environment in Peoria with under 8 left. Illinois to overtime. So the Redbirds have, on some levels, definitely got it together here under their first-year head coach. So that'll be an interesting game 1 week from tonight, Illinois State at Indiana State. This is Bird Antoine to Morris, who scores it over the 7-footer, and the Sycamores are within 4. It's an 8-0 ISU run.
Morris getting his 8th point. Big time move and strong take underneath. I'll tell you what, Jason, if you'd have told Coach Waltman at the 7-minute mark on the road at Bradley with this young team he was going to be down 4,
he'd take it.
Without question.
We'd all take it. This is a tough place to play. They average 8,700 fans, and they've got seniors like this one, James Gillingham, who's going to the free throw line, has twice been a member of the Valley's all-defensive team, and is the conference's active leader in career steals. But truth be told, tonight, talking about Gillingham, who's a great defensive player, Gillingham has been a victim of a tremendous defensive effort from Marcus Howard, among others.
Howard's made Gillingham's life pretty difficult here today. Another interesting stat, that was Bradley's 8th free throw, or 7th free throw made. Bradley's 7-0 when they make more free throws than their opponents this year. Right now, Bradley has 7 free throws, Indiana State 6.
Well, and that's been an important stat in the game. Bradley, as Cottrell Green hits or tries to hit a long 2, Bradley 7 for 10 from the line. The Sycamores 6 for 14 as Mr. Moss says, get in the 5th row.
David Moss comes from nowhere and says,
I think you have a ticket.
Not here in my house.
Wow. Gillingham into the lane, tough shot off the mark, but Heemskirk kept it alive. One of the benefits of being 7 feet tall with really long arms.
Heemskirk's done a nice job here in the second half, keeping several offensive boards alive, extending that defensive possession for Indiana State.
Although he does commit the foul away from the ball. Heemskirk called for the foul, and so the Sycamores down 6. Get another possession. Jake Sams into the game for ISU, replacing Cottrell Green. Doesn't get much easier. I mentioned the game a week from tonight against Illinois State. Next up for the Sycamores, Wednesday night at the Holman Center when they play host to the Southern Illinois Salukis, one of the best teams in the country when it comes to mid-major basketball. Wilfred Antoine.
Southern Illinois' first-year head coach, Matt Painter. Those Indiana-Purdue fans will remember his name from years back. He was Coach Bruce Weber's assistant at Southern Illinois for a number of years. Got to slide over a chair when Bruce Weber went to Illinois. Matt Painter's done a nice job here with that Southern Illinois Saluki team.
Gillingham into the lane. The Sycamores thought he dragged that foot. But boy, wherever Gillingham is, there's Marcus. James is 2 for 8 from the field tonight. Came in averaging 16 points a game, although now after the switch, he's over Sams, and immediately he makes the Sycamores pay for the defensive switch.
Jake Sams just doesn't have the same toughness that Marcus Howard brings in that one-on-one defense. Gillingham understands that, saw the mismatch, and said, let me get 2 points here.
Gillingham this time is called for the foul against Marcus Howard, and so Howard will go to the free throw line for Indiana State, a chance to cut into this 8-point Bradley lead. The Sycamores had gone on a 6-0 run. Eric Gray attempting a 3 to get the Sycamores within 3. That was off the mark, and now the lead is 8 at 44-36. Marcus Howard making his 65th straight start in the Sycamore uniform tonight. 83rd start of his career, so he has been nothing less than a total warrior for the Sycamores during his career. 2 for 2 for Marcus, and the Sycamores are within 6 at the 5-minute mark here at the Carver Arena.
And they've done it playing ugly. They've kept this game in a half-court crawl, controlling tempo, tough man-to-man defense.
Well, there's not much you can say when Somerville is going to step out and with a hand in his face, fade away and swish a three-pointer. Other than kudos.
Wow.
Yeah, wow works
what
too.
What do you do against that?
Tyson for the answer. Heemskirk the rebound. 9-point Bradley lead.
Just when Indiana State gets close to make a play,
Somerville hits that three. He looks like a fighter now, the way his left eye has been bandaged.
I was going to say, just as soon as Indiana State finds a way to make a run and make a play, Bradley answers with one of their plays. Somerville is a wow.
He's everything we had been told he was. As he knocks the first one down, a 69% free throw shooter. Sustained that cut above the left eye earlier in the second half, but it has not hampered his shooting at all, with the exception of that free throw. So it's a 10-point lead for Bradley as we near 4 minutes left. Ted backing in, the shot won't count, but he does draw the foul, and so Morris will go to the free throw line.
Ted's starting to develop a little bit of a comfort zone down there on the block. He's got a couple moves he can go to. One over his left shoulder, one over his right shoulder. Starting to get some confidence down there, trying to make some things happen.
Can't get the free throw to go, and the Sycamores are 8 for 17 from the line.
You know, it's amazing. Everybody watches Ted Morris say, well, man, he's 6'10", and you know, if he could just drop, step, and dunk, if he could just do this and just do that. Well, if he could just do those things, he'd be at Illinois or be at Missouri. He wouldn't be at Indiana State.
Joey Paul allows the Braves to match their biggest lead at 50-38. Moss on the baseline, almost rejected by Paul, and now you've got to think the Braves will slow it down, leading by 12 with under 3.5 to go. Jim Les saying before the season his team would learn a lot about itself in the early going. They have played a brutal schedule. They've already notched a win against Miami of Florida from the Big East Conference. They had DePaul by 21 in the second half before blowing that big lead and losing late.
Had Pepperdine on the ropes, on the road. So they've been seasoned and been tested, but like you said, when you've got 3 perimeter senior leaders and a sophomore like Somerville that can score and rebound, you can play with a lot of teams in this country.
It's a front-end miss for Heemskirk, and the Sycamores have it down 12.
Important couple possessions here for Indiana State to try to make something happen to get some scores. Don't necessarily need to start firing threes. Need to take some patience and look at trying to find ways to score. Build penetration. They've had some success down there on the block.
Adler, and he draws the foul on the baseline. Aggressive move from Jared Adler, who got the start tonight thanks to his 13-point effort against the Evansville Aces on Wednesday night. It's the 10th foul against Bradley. Heemskirk has fouled out. As we take a look at Amani Donish, watching from the Sycamore bench. Heemskirk fouls out as Adler will go to the free throw line. Jim Les enjoying all of whatever time is allotted him to replace the player who has been disqualified, as they say.
People are thinking, why is he having a timeout when a player fouled out? Well, he has a certain amount of time, I believe it's 45 seconds, to make that substitution. So it's an opportunity for him to get his guys around him, gather their thoughts, basically take a mini timeout without charging himself a timeout, get some strategy, late game situations, whatever, in place before he makes that substitution for that gentleman that fouled out.
Adler goes to the free throw line. Knocks down the first one. Getting his second start of the season. Got the start at Eastern Illinois in the Sycamores' big win in Charleston. And then again tonight, Adler 2 for 2 after the tie and roll. 2:46 left. Royce Waltman and company within 10 in Peoria. Tonight for the Sycamores, Morris right now, the sophomore, 8 points, 2 rebounds, and that ferocious slam in 17 minutes.
That's getting it done for the big fella. We talked about it many times during the broadcast. Bradley does such a good job on the defensive end with ball pressure and keeping you uncomfortable with the things that you're trying to do. David Moss, 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, just 5 points. 8 boards, but only 5 points. So as teams in this league prepare to play Indiana State, they figure out ways to take David Moss out of the game. Other guys are going to have to find a way to step up, make some plays, and get some scoring. Again, you mentioned it, Jason. Balance is the key.
Gillingham with the basket for the Braves. He's got 13, and now Paul the rejection. Moss got it back. This is Bird on the baseline over Robinson. Somerville the rebound. 2 minutes left. The Braves lead by 12. This is their biggest lead. It matches their biggest lead. They led 40-28 and 50-38.
As good as the coaches enter in the Missouri Valley, they're going to find ways to make it very difficult for David Moss night in and night out. So finding ways to get some balance from these other guys on the team is going to be very important.
Cottrell Green playing the defense against Gillingham, who turns, shoots, can't get it to go. Moss the rebound, although it's a shot clock violation against the Braves. Tyson Schnitger back into the lineup, replacing Wilfred Antoine. So it was nice to visit with Tyson Schnitger's father, Kevin, at halftime. Tyson enjoying a great start to his career at ISU, although a tough night tonight for the Sycamores offensively speaking against this very good defensive team, the Bradley Braves. Howard, this is Schnitger. Into the lane goes Marcus and gets it to go. ISU within 10 with a minute to go.
Nice tape by Marcus Howard. Off the dribble, creates something on his own. That was a big key we talked about at halftime for Indiana State to maintain some offensive presence, was to try to create some things off the dribble.
Patience offensively for the Braves, who will milk the clock, nursing a 10-point lead. Robinson for 3. Suggs the rebound. They don't have to shoot it. The shot clock is off, and so Bradley will end a 2-game losing streak. The Braves were 7-2, lost 2 in a row, and will now improve to 8-4 on the season. For the Sycamores, who were 5-4, they'll fall back to 5-5, 1-1 in the Missouri Valley Conference, as this one comes to an end from the Carver Arena in Peoria, where Jim Les and Royce Waltman will shake hands at midcourt. The Sycamores fall 52-42. We'll come back with the post-game show from Peoria after this timeout.
Now through January 3rd.
With the